Hello, class. It is Tuesday, May 31st. You are listening and watching to PLAR History and Geography live right now at Wassa and Silico. It is currently raining outside. Not a nice present day. We are at week number 7. Yes, class, week number 7 of this term, term 2B. Again, there are only 2 more weeks left after this week, so we have roughly 13 more school days or 2.5 more weeks left to continue to work on those assignments and to submit them when you can. Announcement, next week I will be in Webequay. I'll be there next Tuesday for the 25th anniversary celebration and their open house. I'll be going along with Barb Carpenter and Erica. So next week on Tuesday, I'll be in Webequay and I'll be back on Wednesday afternoon. Probably will be a class switch with me and Andrew. I'll make a official announcement next class on Thursday if that's going to happen, but stay tuned for that. But just want to let everyone know that yes, I will be traveling to Webequay for my very first time for my community visit this term 2B, and hosting an open house and celebrating Wassa 25th year celebration. So again, very exciting. Hope to meet a lot of students in Webequay. Again, come on out, lots of food, a lot of refreshments, and if you need help with your coursework and your assignments, bring them on out. I'll be more than happy to help you out. That's next week. Again, I'll make an official announcement next class on Thursday if I will be switching classes, which I will be most likely switching class with Andrea. But again, I'll make that official announcement next week. A friendly reminder to all students. Again, the last official dates to submit any assignments is Friday, June the 17th. Again, hopefully you have circled that in your calendar. I noticed that we got Lillian on the line again in Waterman. How are you today? Hopefully you can hear me, Lillian.
Good.
Hi, Lillian.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good.
Good, excellent. Thanks for calling in and listening to our class today, which is fantastic. I noticed that you have been online on a regular basis, but haven't been on the phone or on with your mic. So again, thanks so much for calling in and participating today. So Lillian, which stage are you at right now in terms of your assignment?
Geography.
Your geography, great, because we're starting geography. We started that last week, and we're gonna continue that, so which is great. Which assignment are you currently on?
9
You're on 9?
questions.
Perfect. We started PLAR Geography last class. We went over assignment 9 last class. I do plan on to go over and review last class content, so stay tuned for that. We'll get to that very, very shortly, okay? And then I'll help you in terms of assignment number 9, and hopefully we can start assignment 10 today. So hopefully you submitted assignment 7 and 8 in terms of history to me. I think I'm still missing either assignment 8 or one of the two. So if you haven't already done that, make sure you do that, all right, Lillian?
Already finished.
You already sent it to me? Okay, I'll double check that when I get back to my office, but again, I'll keep you posted because I think I'm still missing assignment 8 of your assignment. But then again, I could be wrong. Could be wrong. But again, class, just a reminder, the last official date to submit any work is Friday, June the 17th. Again, last official date to submit any work, PLAR assignments, is Friday, June the 17th. Hopefully everyone will have that date circled in their calendar. Again, last day to submit any work for this term. So let's get started. Let's do a bit of review before we get over to today's content. Again, we have Lillian live with us in Waterman, which is fantastic. Again, Lillian, At any point, if you have any questions or you want me to stop, go over anything, let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. But yes, class, we are starting lesson number 5. We started that last class. Physical geography. If you're following along, we're on page 40 in your textbook. Assignment number 9 is super short. We're going to review those content right now before we move on with today's learning goal in today's class. And let's get started. Physical geography, lesson number 5, page 40 in your textbook. So last class, we defined 3 areas. We define physical geography. We also define a region, and we also define regional diversity. So those were the 3 main topics that we talked about last class. And then we went over assignment number 11. That should be assignment number 9 probably. Okay. So let's go over these definitions. Again, as you recall, in the geography half of this course, there are tons, and I mean tons of definitions. Lots of definitions. So what is physical geography? It's right there on the very top of page 40 in your textbook. It is the study of natural features of the Earth's surface in its current aspect. Boom, right there. Okay, the study of natural features of the Earth's surface and its current aspect. Again, that could be land formations. It could include regions, environment, climate, plants, humans, and animals. Again, we'll be talking a lot about those topics as we continue and progress throughout this course. But again, physical geography is the study of what's actually there on the Earth's surface in its current form. Again, it could be and not limited to landforms, regions, environment, climate, plants, humans, animals, and tons of other factors as well. Okay, but again, physical geography, definition, study of natural features of the Earth's surface in its current aspect. Okay, so hopefully you made note of that, Lillian. You'll see that definitely on question number 1 for assignment number 9. So next, we also talked about what is a region. Again, a broad definition, but basically a region can simply be defined as a set of common characteristics within a region or within an area. Something that has in common, something that is the same, something that is unique, and something that stands out. That is a region. So for example, Northwestern Ontario is a region within the province of Ontario compared to Southern Ontario, which is another region. Okay, so again, different areas have different regions. Again, it could be mountains, it could be rivers, it could be populations, it could be wildlife, it could be anything. Something that is in common, a set of characteristics. Again, an example could be Canada, a big country of ours. We have tons of provinces, 10 provinces, and 3 territories. And different region within Canada, again, depending on where we live in Canada, it could be northern Canada, which includes the territories. On the west coast in BC, that's simply known as the mountains, because it has mountains, and or known as the West. The prairies, which includes Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Again, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, lots of agriculture, flat landforms. Here in Ontario and Quebec, we are known as Central Canada because we are in the middle and has the most population within our own nation. And as we move eastwards towards Newfoundland, PI, Nova Scotia, all those provinces, that is known as the East Coast. Again, we here in Canada, massive country, we go coast to coast. Again, we have tons of different regions, tons of different climate, population, vegetation, natural resources, and lots. Again, I gave the example of northwestern Ontario and southern Ontario. Again, no physical boundary of where that begins. It's just an imaginary line. Again, it could be classified as population, people, and whatnot. And lastly, we talked about regional diversity. Again, it goes back into Canada as being a massive, unique country of ours. We have climatic regions. Again, depending on where you live in Canada or within this province, it could be hot, a hot summer, a humid summer, especially in southern Ontario. It could be cold, especially in our northern communities or in the territories. Extremely cold, lots of snow, minus 40 with the wind chill in the wintertime. It could be cool too. Again, depending on where we live in Canada, it could be raining a lot, especially on the coast, west coast or east coast. And again, it could be extremely cold as you move northwards. Again, climatic regions. Also, number two, we have cultural regions. Again, something that makes Canada unique is a multicultural identity where we have lots of citizens from different backgrounds, tradition, cultures, religions, beliefs, which makes us very, very unique. Again, cultural regions. Again, depending on where we live in Canada, some culture are more dense compared to other. Again, they could form their own little community. But again, very diverse. We have a lot of people from different backgrounds, different countries from all over the world coming here, immigrating, now living in Canada. And number three, lastly, in terms of regional diversity, we are talking about topographical regions. Again, that just includes different features in terms of landforms that we have here in Canada. Again, mountains, lots of mountains out west, especially in Banff and Jasper and towards BC, the Rocky Mountains. We have different lakes, and I mean tons of lakes. Could be small lakes, little lakes, tiny lakes, but I have tons of lakes, Great Lakes, Lake Superior, Lake Ontario, tons of lakes. We have the Arctic regions, again, very cold climate, very little vegetation and growth. Polar bears, again, lowlands, again, trees, forests, population, tons, which makes Canada unique and diverse based on its region. But what we need to remember, class, is climatic regions, cultural regions, and topographical regions. All right. So those are what we talked about last class, and then I gave an example of Europe in terms of regions, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, but we won't get into that detail because that's just additional information that I plugged in last class. This should be assignment number 9. So Lillian, are you still there with us right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so if you turn to your workbook on assignment number 9.
Oh, yeah.
So you said that you're currently working on that assignment?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you finish question number 1 yet?
Um,
What is physical geography?
yeah, I finished that question.
You already finished that question?
Yeah.
Perfect. Again, physical geography, that is on the top of page 40. Right there, simple, summarize that definition. Did you finish question number 2 yet?
No.
No? Okay, let's do that right now. Let's do that right now. So question number 2 is in this ask, what is a region? Okay, so 2 marks. So if you go back into your textbook on page 40, again, we just talked about it right now in class. A region is something known as a set characteristic or set of defined characteristics. So again, that's on page 40, Lillian. right under the paragraph where it says regions. So make sure you go back and skim that paragraph. But the definition of that can be found right there. All right, Lily?
Yes.
Okay. And then question number 3, the next question asks, name 3 of Canada's different regions. And if you can see on my screen, I basically just gave you the answer because I just wrote it out. Right here. Then again, we just talked about it right now. Now it's climatic, cultural, and topographical regions within Canada. Regional diversity. So don't get too confused with number 3. Number 3 just deals with regional diversity, and I have it on my screen right now. Climatic, cultural, and topographical. Again, you can find that again on the second paragraph or the third paragraph and on page 40 under regional diversity. Okay? So again, question number 3, boom, you can see it on my screen. It's right there. I wrote this answer out last class live. And the last question, Lillian, is basically an opinion-based question. Number 4, and it asks, why do you think, not what I think, but what do you think? Why do you think that Canada has so many climates? Why do you think Canada has so many different climates? Okay. It's basically what you think. You can be like, oh, I think Canada has so many different climates because it could be we are a big country, we're above the equator, but why do you think that we have so many different climates? Again, depending on, I know that you're in Waterman, so again, you experience cold winter, cool summer, lots of snow, but why do you think Canada, our country of ours in general, has so many different climates based on where you live? Okay, so there's no right or wrong answer for number 4. It's basically telling me what you think. Okay, so you can be creative. You can tell me what you think, but again, it's an opinion-based question. Tell me why do you think that way. As long as it makes sense, as long as it relates back to the question, you will simply get 2 out of 2 for that question, full marks. Unless you go off topic, then we won't get full marks for that. Okay there, Lillian?
Okay.
So just 4 questions right there. Hopefully you can finish that up right now. And then you can get that to me and I'll mark it and then boom. Again, only out of 9 marks for question number, assignment number 9. Very straightforward, very, very simple. Any more questions, Lillian, or any confusions or any clarifications that you want me to go over?
No.
You're okay?
Yes.
Good stuff. So again, hopefully you can do that right now and get that to me by tomorrow or whatnot, and then we'll be good. So again, stay on the line with us, Lillian. Again, thanks so much for joining us. So right now, class and Lillian, I'm going to continue looking at lesson number 5 in terms of physical geography. What I'm going to be covering will be in regards to your next assignment, which is assignment number 10. Assignment number 10. Okay? So let's get to our learning goals for today. So today, again, class, we are continuing with lesson number 5. And today we're going to talk about a few key topics such as Canada's landform, or one of Canada's landform, and that is the Canadian Shield. So we'll define what the Canadian Shield is and what it has that makes it stand out and unique in terms of Canada's landform. We'll also talk about this fancy word, this term called escarpment, and how it was formed million and millions of years ago based on the ice age and glaciers and that effects. We'll be talking about something known as the Biosphere Reserve, what they stand for and what they want to promote, what their goals are in terms of conservation and protection within our own ecosystem and biodiversity. And we'll wrap things up by looking at rocks, or types of rocks. There are 3 types of rocks that we will be classifying or defining. Very straightforward, but rocks. So those right there, class, are our learning goals. Again, Canada's landform, Canadian Shield, Escarpment, Biosphere Reserve, and types of rocks. And then, as promised, we'll get to assignment number 10. Get those questions. And hopefully Lillian can start assignment 10 near the end of today's class. Hopefully I'll get some class, a bit of time to work on that, depending on how much we cover and how much time we have left. All right, so those are our focus for today. Pretty straightforward. Again, lots of definitions. So let's begin. So again, class, anything that I highlight, anything that I circle or put a star beside, it's a good indication that you will see it again in terms of your assignments. So please make note of that as well. But landforms. Again, we know that Canada is a massive country, but we are going to talk about landforms. So what are landforms? You'll need to define it, but landforms are, or landform regions are, an area of land that has the same major surface. Again, we know what a region is now, but a landform region is simply an area or region that has the same major surface feature. Something that they have in common, something that makes it stand out. But our focus will be on one particular landform in Canada, and that is known as the Canadian Shield. Why? Because it is the biggest one in Canada, and it's right here in our community and within our province, and extends pretty much half of our country, the Canadian Shield. So again, I have a little map, little illustrations that demonstrates and shows different landform regions that we have here in Canada. Again, depending on where we live, different landforms in Canada has different features. Again, it could be mountains, lakes, population, but in terms of its surface, we know that the Canadian Shield is massive. Again, flat land or mountains, just different landforms we have here in Canada. But our main focus is this green area known as the Canadian Shield. And that will be our focus for today. So that is our focus for today. So let's get to the Canadian Shield. Again, I'm going to put a little star beside it. I'm going to circle it. Again, to emphasize that it is important and emphasizing that you will see it again on your next assignment. So again, class, anything that I circle or highlight or put a star beside, feel free to make a note of that in your textbook. If you're wondering, I'm on page 41. All right, that goes for class, that goes for Lillian. But again, Canadian Shield on page 41 in our textbook. Simply the Canadian Shield, again, we know that is the largest landform region in Canada based on the illustrations and the map that I showed on the previous slide. The Canadian Shield is pretty much half of Canada. It is known for its poor soil and its rough terrain, and also discourage farming. But what makes it unique and stand out is that it is rich in terms of minerals. Lots of minerals that you can find. Again, metals, copper, lead, nickel, uranium, zinc, tons. What also made the Canadian Shield unique is that it has some of the oldest rocks. And some rocks within this region could be 4 billion years old. Again, lots of minerals. Again, based on my picture on my right, you can see that it has lots of trees. So if you had experience traveling across this province of Ontario or within northern Ontario, we know that we have tons of trees. You look out the window as you're driving or in your community, you see nothing but trees, trees, and more trees. So again, lots of coniferous trees and forests, but in general, lots of trees within this region. Canadian Shield is also known for its hydroelectrical development. It has countless lakes. So again, it could be small lakes, little lakes, major lakes, Lake Superior. But again, lots of lakes, and those all come from glacier ice effect. Again, countless lakes, streams, rivers, and ponds, tons all over the Canadian Shield. Again, I mentioned that it has poor soil and rough terrains. Again, bare rocks, thin soil, and insects makes it a challenge or a barrier for settlements. Hence why we don't have many homes or communities or cities in these areas, because the sand soil is not rich and it's not good for farming. So again, we don't have a lot of vegetation and growth within the Canadian Shield. Hence why we just see tons of trees, rocks, and lakes. But again, what we need to emphasize, what we need to remember is that it is rich in minerals. Again, gold, silver, nickel, zinc, copper, iron ore, tons, just tons are rich in terms of minerals. Very unique. Again, if you experienced or been to Sudbury and witnessed the giant nickel there, again, a mining community in Sudbury, again, that is still within the Canadian Shield and in our province. What makes Canadian Shield also unique is that it is known for some of its best literature based on its beauty and based on its landscape and based from its visual representation. But again, Canadian Shield, rich in minerals, is what we need to emphasize and what we need to remember for our next assignments. Okay? Any questions there? Any questions? Any questions?
No.
No? Okay. So again, Canadian Shield, rich in minerals, metal, copper, lead, zinc, uranium, boom. That's what we need to remember. Okay? Good stuff. Next. What are encarcements? What are encarcements? Again, circle this word, put a little star beside her right there. Again, you'll see that definition, that word pop up again in your next assignment coming up. So what are encarcements? Again, the definition is right here. So again, copy that down, remember that. Cliffs that display a transitional between different rocks formation. Otherwise known as a steep rock. So encarcements are formed from the effects of glaciers that have retreated during the Ice Age period. So if you go back millions and billions of years ago, we were once covered in ice and snow. This was known as the Ice Age period. Again, pretty much all of North America was covered in thick sheets of ice and snow, known as glaciers. And eventually, when that all melted away and retreated, boom, glacier, it carves out valleys. we have now lakes, hills, and ridges. Hence why our landscape is uneven. Um, Again, encarsments, a cliff that display a transition between different rocks forms, or forms by faults. So in your textbook class in Lillian, there is an article on page 44. Is it on page 44? Yes, it is on page 44. And there's an article entitled, What is the Niagara Encarsments? So please make sure you go back there, class, and skim through and read that article, as it emphasizes and illustrates key features within the Niagara encarsments. But again, what we need to remember is, again, encarsments, the effects from glaciers during the Ice Age period. Again, as they retreated, it carves out valleys. As a result, today we have lakes, hills, and ridges. But again, the definition of encarsments is simply right here, and that is cliffs that display a transitional between two different rock formations, or anything known as a steep hill or steep rock, steep cliff can be an example of encarsments. Again, you'll see this article on page 44. I'm not going to read it right now in class, but this is on page 44. But again, what I'm going to circle, again, erosion. That's a key word that we need to remember. Broken away. Yeah, erosion or erode away. Key words I'm looking for in terms of within this article. So I do have a bit of illustrations to help further our understanding and our knowledge and our application and communication. Again, glaciers right here. Again, we were once covering thick sheets of ice and snow. Again, once that has retreated, we have something known as the Niagara encarsments, which is right here. Okay, see how the rock formations are higher and lower compared to others. So we have different elevation based on terms of height. Sometimes higher compared to something else. Okay, different elevation. But in terms of the Niagara encarsments, if you have been to Southern Ontario, it is in the province of Ontario. It is in the Niagara region. It is 725 kilometers long, and it has the max height of 335 meters. Again, just some unique information about the Niagara encarsment. Don't need to remember those numbers. Again, it is in your text, but the Niagara encarsments, again, a unique visual representation quality of Ontario landscape, especially in Southern Ontario in the Niagara region. It extends all the way towards Hamilton, Milton, Orangeville, Collingwood, Owen Sound, and other communities and cities and towns in that area. But again, it was all formed from over billions of years, from wind, sand, weathering, erosion. Again, this picture right here is known as the hoodoos. You can find this in Alberta, near Drumheller. Again, these unique shape and features are formed from weathering, whether it's sunny, snowing, windy, rain, water, and eventually it all erodes away and forms these unique features. Because the encarsment was so unique, we need to protect it. we need to protect it. And that segues into our next topic, known as the Biosphere Reserve. Again, something that we'll see up again in our next assignments, the Biosphere Reserve. The Biosphere Reserve is a part of our planet that support life and are special places chosen to become models of how we should live in nature. So the Biosphere, if you're wondering, was created in 1974, and then there are over 350 sites that share the same common goals and experiences. Ecosystems are again part where we protect the core. It could be parks, it could be wildlife, it could be a tree, it could be a stream, but that is all part of our ecosystem. Humans, people, all living together. Biodiversity demonstrates sustainable development, build local capacity of people and organizations to deal with human and environmental issues. So the Biosphere is not a law under Canadian federal statute or law, but it's basically a voluntary basis where local people gather together and coordinate these activities. So what is the Biosphere and what is its goal and what is its purpose? Boom, right here. Again, remember this definition class, the Biosphere Reserve. Its goal is to achieve a balance between protection of significant ecosystem and development. And again, in terms of an ecosystem, it could be a park, it could be a particular forest or tree, it could be a particular community, for example, that's in danger that we need to protect. But again, anything that deals with human, nature, wildlife all together based on this biodiversity ecosystem, something that we need to protect. Balance or protection of significant ecosystem and development. Because if we don't protect it, it's currently in danger, and if we don't do something to conserve it or preserve it, it may not be there in the future, or it could be in danger, or it could be simply be gone. Okay, so there are three main areas that goes within the Biosphere Reserve. Again, it starts with number one, the core area. Remember that, core area. The core area is simply designed to protect stream, valleys, forests, or wetlands, but it could be anything else as well. So the core area is something that we want to protect. Anything. Okay, again, it could be a valley, a stream, a park, wetlands, a particular area in our community, something that we want to protect. That is the core area, the area that we want to focus on. Number two, that's known as the buffer zone, and that is simply the area outside of the core area, or otherwise known as activities that we need to do to conserve. Okay, the buffer zone, activities to conserve. And now lastly is known as the transitional zone, and that is the area where we want to involve local communities, people, citizens, organizations in terms of our resource management and development strategies. Okay, so it could be, again, the core area. It could be simply be a tree that we want to protect. That is the core area. The buffer zone is simply the area outside it or the activities that we want to do in order to protect it. And a transitional zone is simply where we involve outside communities, involve local people, citizens to get involved as well. So that's pretty much the purpose and the goal of the Biosphere Reserve established in 1974. But again, there are many factors that comes within the Biosphere Reserve. Again, like anything that we can do basically on an everyday basis. So for example, that we talked about was the Niagara Escarpment. That was under the Biosphere Reserve in 1990. It was under federal and provincial protection based on Moderator in. Okay, it could be tourism, where people come and visit and learn, and education, where we educate people about the importance of that particular area and that we need to sustain it and keep it for the future. Could be workshops and anything that can educate the public. Um, Ecotourism. Could be forestry, farming, you name it. Okay, all this goes within under the Biosphere Reserve, where we want to protect, maintain, so we have it in the future. All right, there. Any questions about the Biosphere Reserve? Again, the goal and the purpose of the Biosphere Reserve is to achieve a balance between protection and the significance of ecosystem and development. Again, that could be anything. That could be a tree, that could be a particular species, or plants, a river, a stream, anything. Okay? And if you're wondering where this is all is, and it is on page 45 in our textbook. Page 45 in our textbook. Okay? Any questions? Are we all following along and understanding? Any questions there, Lillian?
know.
No? Okay. So I'm going to go over our last topic for today, and hopefully there will be some time at the end where hopefully we can work on some of the next questions together. So let's quickly go over types of rocks. Types of rocks. So there are 3 types of rocks, and their names are igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. Again, remember those names? Okay, igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rock. Again, that is on page 47 in our textbook. I'm not going to go into great details about each one. I think we're right on time. But our goal is to remember the names of each rock. Again, that is igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic. So I'm going to briefly go over some of the key characteristics. Again, all of that can be simply be found on page 47 in your textbook on the very, very top. So let's start off with number 1, igneous rock. So an igneous rock can be formed and found underground or above ground, underneath the earth or above the earth, give or take. So they can also be formed underground or above ground. They are basically melted rocks that was formed based on called magma, okay, that cools off and turns into rock. So basically, it can be formed within the earth or above the earth. So basically how igneous rocks are formed, simply a volcano, when a volcano erupts, boom, all these ashes and smoke and magma and lava flows and cools off. Once that magma and lava cools off within the earth's surface, boom, we have igneous rock. Simple as that. Okay, so it's really hard to find igneous rock unless we are near a volcano eruption or volcano sites where the rocks has cooled off, or the magma has cooled off and formed into this particular known as a rock. Or same thing within, and again, it can also form within the earth as well and simply be a rock. But again, one type of rock, an igneous rock. Again, what we need to remember is that it can be formed underground or above ground. Melted rocks, volcanic eruption, magma, when it cools off, boom, igneous rock. Let's get to the second type of rock. Second type of rock, known as a sedimentary rock. Sedimentary rock. And those rocks are simply formed by different factors. They're formed based on erosion, weathering, and takes tons and millions of years in a way. Simply, water and wind breaks down a particular rock, and as heat and pressure from millions of years, it turns into a new rock known as a sedimentary rock. Basically, it's formed based on heat and pressure, and it washes and sits at the bottom of a river or a pond or an ocean, and it simply has layers. Okay, but it's simply it's formed from an igneous rock. Again, as that igneous rock, based from weathering, wind, or water breaks down that rock, and heat and pressure push down on that rock, it turns into a new rock known as a sedimentary rock. So basically, any rock that has like layers in it, where you see lines in it, that's a good indication that is a sedimentary rock. Again, you won't really see or find a sedimentary rock around here unless you're near an ocean or a body of water. That's where we can find sedimentary rock. Let's go back one slide. But example of an igneous rock I forgot to mention could be basalt. It could be a granite. Again, those are examples of an igneous rock. Example of a sedimentary rock. So if you have seen sandstone, or limestone. Again, these are all examples of a sedimentary rock. A piece of chalk, old school way right on a blackboard. That is example of a sedimentary rock. Clay. That clay where it's yucky and mucky and get on clothing. Or you've been watching tennis on the French Open, that surface of clay. Again, all example of sedimentary rock. And lastly, metamorphic rock. Metamorphic simply means change. Again, heat and pressure change that rock once more time. And it was formed based from igneous and sedimentary rock. Example of a metamorphic rock is simply marble. Or slates. All example of a metamorphic rock. Again, heat and pressure change that rock one more time. So those are simply the three types of rocks and simply how we need to remember it. Pretty straightforward. Again, I can go into greater details about it and its background content, but it is not necessary. Again, what we need to remember is how it's created to an extent and its name. Alright, let's pretty much wrap up this course. Just wrap up today's lesson in class. So let's get to assignment number 10 before we wrap things up. Okay? So Lillian, if you want to turn in your workbook to assignment number 10, if you have that in front of you, we'll get through these questions, or hopefully I can point you in the right direction. Are you still there, Lillian?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have assignment 10 in front of you? So why don't we work on some of these questions together, Lillian, on assignment number 10 out of 21 marks.
Assignment 10.
Yeah, assignment number 10. Do you see it? 21 marks. Where it says the first question asks, why is the Canadian Shield considered Canada's storehouse of metallic marbles? You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why is why is the Canadian Shield considered Canada's storehouse of metallic marbles? Again, you can find that on page 41 in our textbook, but simply based from it has metals, copper, nickel, otherwise that is known rich in minerals. Okay, so you can simply say that the Canadian Shield is considered Canada's storehouse of metallic minerals because it has metals, copper, nickel, lead, zinc, etc. It has rich in minerals. Okay? Basically what it is on page 41 at the very, very bottom. Question number 2. How were glaciers responsible for land formations? Again, that is on the next page, on page 42. Again, simply it carves out lakes that turns into rivers and hills and ridges within our own landform. Question number 3. What are escarpments? So define it, what it is. Again, a steep slope, different elevation. Again, you can also find it on page 42. Again, describe how is it formed. Again, based on glaciers, based from ice retrieving from years ago. Question number 4 deals with an article on page 44. So please make sure you go back and read that article or skim through that article. But basically, I'm looking for 2 causes of erosion of this landform. So simply, if you emphasize anything in regards to erosion or weather, that's what I'm looking for. Question number 5 asks, what is Biosphere Reserve? And that's on page 45. So again, tell me what the biosphere is. The Biosphere Reserve. I'm going to say that the goal of the Biosphere Reserve is to, again, protect, maintain ecosystem development, and ask you name 3 areas or 3 zones in the Biosphere Reserve and tell me each. And if you recall, core area, got the buffer zone, then we got the transitional zone. Again, but explain each one. Okay, what is each area or zone supposed to do? So again, define, explain the core area, the buffer zone, and the transitional zone. And the last question simply deals with rocks. Simply tell me the name of the rock. There's 3 of them, and how it is formed, how it is created. Again, that was on page 47. All right there, class. Right there, Lillian.
Yeah.
Any questions right now? Any confusion? So right there, you can start working on assignment number 10. Again, I wrote down the page number. It's all in our discussion that we went over today. So if you need to go back into today's class, again, you can find it on my YouTube channel, which is posted on my Facebook page. But again, all that can be found in your textbook as well. But before we go, are there any questions, Lillian? Any comments? Any concerns? Again, there are only 2.5 more weeks left in this course. So this week, then we have 2 more weeks afterwards. So hopefully, Lillian, you can work super hard and try to finish up before this term is almost done. Okay?
Okay.
But no, you're doing great, Lillian. But hopefully, yeah, hopefully you can send me in assignment number 9, and then send it in assignment number 10. Hopefully you can do that all like right now and then get it to me by tomorrow, and then just continue to work on it. Okay? But no, you're doing great so far. But yeah, my goal is for you to try to finish PLAR history and geography. I think history is almost done. But that is our goal for the rest of this course, okay? So again, don't be discouraged. I'm here to help. So again, hopefully we'll have assignment number 10 finished by next class, and then we can work on 11. But yeah, we're flexible, willing to help. Just let me know where you're stuck on or where you need help, and we can figure that out. Okay? So hopefully you can join again with us in class live on Thursday, Lillian. Hopefully I'll see you back then, and I look forward to helping you out. Okay?
Okay.
All right, I'll see you on Thursday.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. I'll see you then. All right, class. Thanks so much, class. This has been PLAR History and Geography at WASA. Again, my name is Jonathan, and I'll see everyone and Lillian on Thursday back here again. Thank you.